Bang, bang, bang. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. How are y'all doing? Malcolm, are you? I don't even know what you guys are seeing, so I don't know. As far as like the comment scores, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to open up the YouTube chat too. It seems like a lot to have open all the time. View on YouTube. Let's see. What's going on? Oh, I see. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Crowns. I get it. I see what's happening. Okay, well. I don't need to see anymore, I don't think. I got it. I got it. All right, we're live on Rumble, YouTube, and on X. Thanks for being here, folks. I appreciate it. You all are stupendous, amazing, magnanimous. It's sanity time. That's right. I'm trying to bring a little sanity into the world. That's quite right, Oz. Thank you. I'm trying. You're trying. We're all trying. We're trying together. I guess you have to have like some kind of metric, right, of what sanity looks like, what sanity entails. We live in a world where like things aren't the definition of words and things is so twisted. You can basically twist anything into anything, and it's reached like a high art form of twisting anything into whatever you want it to mean. Oh, sorry, man. Thanks for letting me know. Oh, is it any better? My VPN. Why are you laughing at that VPN? Why? Because you think they're silly, or I don't know. I just I usually remember to turn off my VPN, but I did not. And it does make the video very laggy. So sorry. Wayne the Pain, what's going on? Calling in from East Nevada. Okay, it's better. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know, guys. Anybody else using this really good VPN? This has like been my favorite VPN ever, the vp.net. Anybody else using it and like it? And thanks, Bella, for the tip the other day on the Lulu thing. I really don't know that it's affecting anything that I'm doing. I just assume that it's working. It's magic, and I don't know. But I did recently buy like a newer computer, and this computer is nice and smooth, crisp and clean with no caffeine. This computer just really so far does not have any issues, so I'm like, it's been really nice. You can only use free Proton VPN to avoid registering bank stuff. I got you. I hear you. I hear you on that, man. I hear you on that. Well, if you're going to try a VPN, and the Proton is okay. I did use the free Proton one for a while. I did hear, however, that Proton VPN uses Israeli servers, for whatever that's worth. So use with caution. But the vp.net is very, I think, effective. So far, so good. I don't know. I don't have anything negative to report. Fair enough, Malcolm. There you go. Fair enough. I mean, I don't know that VPNs really do anything. Like if they really want to, a lot, in fact, they can. So it's like, generally, like it, if they really want to get to you, if they want to watch what you're doing, or turn on your cameras, or know where you're at, they can go. The VPN doesn't matter. I think it's just for like mostly for all the other incidental traffic. It probably just filters a lot more of your information than you would otherwise be giving out when you're on the internet. I think it's good for that. But if you're really trying to, if you're really trying to be super stealth, I guess I would be like, shut the computer. would be the best. Because they pretty much got you wherever they want you, or wherever you're at. All right. What is going on? We made it to another Friday. I have uploaded the links from yesterday onto Patreon. I'm going to try and do that on the daily, guys. links for the prior show are on Patreon for the subscribers if you want them. But I think that mostly people just subscribe to my Patreon just to support the show. And I appreciate you. Thank you for that. Man, it's starting to get kind of warm. We've entered a period of mugginess. It is rare that Southern California gets like a tropical wave. But we have a bit of a humid kind of warmth going on. So it's feeling very islandish here right now. It's only like 80 degrees, but it feels like it's a muggy 80 degrees. Let's get into it. Did we talk about Vietnam shutting down a bunch of bank accounts? Did we talk about this one? Indeed, in Denver. That is what it's like. This is frightening for those who are concerned about, general operational security of your money. I have tried that, Poppy, and I don't like it, so I avoid it at all costs. But this story is true. I don't know if you've seen people talking about Vietnam shutting down a bunch of bank accounts. What I don't know whether people actually lost money in this situation, right? Like they're making it sound like people just closed down their bank accounts and you lost everything in it. I'm not. You have $81 in the bank? All right. As of September 1st, 2025, Vietnam has begun permanently closing over 86 million bank accounts that failed to meet. This is the part that has people concerned. New biometric authentication requirements. A move aimed at combating fraud and money laundering. This action, mandated by the State Bank of Vietnam, affects accounts that were inactive, unregistered, or created by malicious parties, leaving only 113 million personal and over 711,000 organizational accounts as valid. The closure of these accounts is part of a nationwide data cleansing initiative to strengthen the digital payment ecosystem and enhance financial security. Again, there have been people warning of the technocratic control grid creeping in, and what they're doing is creeping it in from other countries. So probably the last one will be the last one to get all this great stuff is going to be the US, or one of the last. But at that moment that the US gets all this stuff, it's going to be hard to. I don't know where you're going to go. The new regulations require facial biometric authentication for first-time account registration and for online transfers exceeding 10 million VND, which is about $400. With combined transactions over 20 million, that's about $800, $750, always needing biometric verification. So anything over $750, you need biometric verification. Yeah. Data cleansing. Well, I thought you were supposed to hold on to all the data. Yos. All right. Oz retweeting the stream on X. Thank you. The implementation has particularly impacted foreigners residing in Vietnam, with some, like a former international contractor, forced to return to the country in person to update their biometric data as remote verification options were unavailable. Critics, including some Bitcoin advocates, have condemned the move, viewing it as an expansion of state surveillance and a barrier to financial access, with concerns about privacy and the potential for a bail-in, or what some people call maybe negative interest rates. The SBV justified the measures by citing the rise in sophisticated cybercrime. Of course, including the use of generative AI to create fake facial scans, and a recent police dismantling of a laundering network that moved approximately $39 million. Well, I mean, they're saying that these are inactive bank accounts. I don't know. It's a lot of 86 million is a lot of bank accounts. Let's see. So they're moving to a mostly digital payment system. Which people expect to happen here at any moment. Let's see. Well, you know, stuff like this is happening. There's also Mexico moving to require, people to have like a biometric identification code, like a QR code with biometric data. Everybody's going to be required to have some kind of ID like this. Again, they're just trying to test this out. Couple that with Australia and the UK and other places saying that we're going to start requiring people to prove their age for getting online or getting on social media or whatever, for watching a YouTube video, which in the long term is going to require people to upload all their data, have some kind of, eventually have some kind of digital ID or some kind of biometric ID. If you are, one of those people that uses facial recognition on your phone or anywhere else, I advise you to stop doing it. Shouldn't have done it in the first place, but I know a lot of people were like, this is great. I can just look at my phone and it opens my phone with my face. I won't even go on to, there's a government login portal now. I don't know how to get around. I don't know how I'm going to get around this in the future, but I've logged in for various other reasons, and sometimes I can get in just like with a regular password. I tried to log in on one site, and they were trying to get me to do like the whole biometric thing, scan my face and everything, and I was like, no, I don't know. I was like, well, I closed it down. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get around this. Eventually I figured out a way to like do what I needed to do without doing the scan thing, especially for a government login page. I don't know. I mean, there might be a way. There might be in the future no way to get around that. I would, but I don't know. I really don't want to do it. So, not sure. I mean, yeah, your face is out there. Everybody's face. My face is definitely out there. Everybody's face is out there for sure. They probably have everybody in a database, anyways. In fact, I'm pretty sure that they do. It's just about compliance, and I really want to. There's a group of people out there that advise people on how to get through like TSA without doing the facial scan and the body scan and all that. And there's like, you can do it. You can request not to do that and go through just like a regular check, and it'll take a little more time, but excuse me, it'll take a little more time, but at least it, you're putting a check in the box for non-compliance. I don't know. That's true, Timothy. Yeah, I mean, there's, it's really going to be difficult to get around in the near future. But a lot of people have questions, have fears, legitimate fears and questions about this. That's why the Real ID hasn't really taken hold. They've been kind of soft rolling the Real ID out for like 10 years. They're like, oh, next year it's going to be required for everybody to have. And then like next year rolls around and everybody's like, now they did like a slightly harder push. They were like, you're not going to be able to fly unless you have your Real ID. So everybody was like, well, let me go get my Real ID today, instead of going like, no, hell no, I'm not going to do that. You're not going to force me to do that, which should have been everybody's reaction. Hell no, you're not going to force me to do that. No, but everybody, last time I went to the DMV, everybody was like, I'm here to get my Real ID. How do I sign up? It's like, okay, dude, don't do that. Anyways, I still haven't got my Real ID. There's an option to not get your Real ID, which I took that option. I have a passport though. Anyways, and I'm sure there's going to be growing interest in removing yourself from this digital database in the future. A lot of people are discussing it. A lot of people are talking about the danger of it, where it is leading us, and it would actually be great and a good thing to see people banding together to resist it by opting out or leaving, trying to, in the future, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more interest in people getting rid of their digital footprint, and getting mainly off a lot of these platforms. I don't know. No, yeah, people don't understand. Well, people don't understand that privacy is a right, and that privacy is something that you should, hold on to. They've got people looped in pretty convincingly. All right, let's talk about some news since it's 12:25 already. I mean, we were talking about Vietnam, but all of this is news anyways. It's all news to me. Ajamu. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, I fixed my Twitter problem. I told you that Twitter was becoming increasingly a difficult place to spend time because I was being overrun by pro Israel and pro right wing, Charlie Kirk, let's lock up all Antifa accounts. And like, I was like, okay, why am I getting this? And it was a deluge. Like, it was just an overwhelming avalanche of these accounts. And then I realized that I could just, go to the right tab of any post and say, I'd like to see less of this post. So I did that a bunch this morning, and my feed returned to sanity, a sane level. In fact, I'm getting none of those anymore. And now I'm getting like more aligned posts. Yeah, I don't want to live in a silo. I'm not really interested in being in an information silo. Like I do enjoy seeing like a spectrum of opinions. If I see only opinions that align with mine, well, that's a little bit like, then it's just an echo chamber, right? So I mean, I do like to see a spectrum of opinions, but it was just an overwhelming avalanche of like, if you think that, it was just like Neanderthal knuckle dragon dumb shit, like all the way down my feed, and I was like, all right, I can't take this. But anyways, I cleaned up my feed. It's a much nicer place on my Twitter timeline now today. Happy to report. This happened to me. It can't. Yes, but bump. It happened to me on Instagram. Maybe a year ago. And I had a thing on Instagram where my whole timeline was advertisements from. I was just getting a deluge of ads, and then once in a while I would see somebody's post, and I was like, okay, this is unenjoyable. And all I was doing was getting ads for like stuff that I either searched for online or talked about. So it's like, you guys are just like, all you're doing is marketing to me. This is just, I don't want to open Instagram and just see ads based on stuff that I just talked about once or searched once and I, already bought or I don't care about. And you guys are just trying to get me into this ridiculousness. So I, and I did basically the same thing, which was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. On every single one of those, I was like, I don't see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, until they got the message that I don't want to see it. And now my Instagram feed is back to pretty normal. Since I left Twitter a few years ago, my blood pressure went back to normal. Good for you, Wayne. I mean, I generally enjoy Twitter, and I spend a lot of time on Twitter, but man, the last couple of days was just like really rough. Here's AOC. This is a walk down memory lane when she was saying that hate speech shouldn't be allowed to be heard. Kind of the same thing that right wingers now are saying about, it's literally the same playbook. The Democrats ran this playbook, and my God, all my liberal friends who, just couldn't think it through were like, yeah, restrict their speech. They're hate speechers. Get them out of here. They were totally for it. And a lot of people, myself included, were like, hey guys, if you do this, they're going to use it against you, which is literally what we're seeing today, right? So now the right wing is like, if you don't have anything but love in your heart for Charlie Kirk, you're an Antifa terrorist. Literally that's what they're doing. I hope that the Democrats understand that the mirror is being held up to them as far as the absolute moronic stupidity of what is going on right now, because they were actually modeling moronic stupidity. Like the way that they were behaving about it was absolutely moronic, and they sounded like stupid assholes about it. And now the right is just, it's just the dumbest shit ever. But they are holding the mirror of the Democrats and saying, now we're going to go get you because you said bad things. And it's just 3-year-old finger pointing bullshit. And it's like, you guys, can you grow up? Can people grow up? I don't know. I don't know if it's possible, but Jesus. Okay, let's watch this. Don't forget, AOC went on the show of Biden's ex-White House press secretary and demanded the government ban Tucker from being allowed on TV. Interestingly enough, now Tucker Carlson is, one of the most outside voices around, which is interesting.
Federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't. And when you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. And that is the line that I think we have to be willing to contend with. Federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on.
And every lefty I knew was like, yeah, AOC, you tell them. Doesn't this sound exactly like what every single right-winger and Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and Don Trump Jr. and everybody is saying exactly these words about the left? Exactly. And this is why when people say, hey, guys, it is old. It is an older clip. When people were like, hey, guys, don't go down this road. Free speech means speech that you don't like. But there's no such thing as hate speech because there isn't. But the left was like, oh, yes, there is. Oh, yes, there's absolutely hate speech. Oh, yes, when we are going to legislate this right out of existence. And then when the right gets into power and has the opportunity to use that little old hate speech thing against you, I don't know. I'm not sure that some of the people on the left got the memo even yet. I'm not sure that they even understand this yet. They're still out there like, yeah, we should get rid of them hate speechers. And I'm like, dude, they're literally firing people for enjoying Charlie Kirk's death or whatever. They're kicking people off of, and they're like, hey, what about free speech? I'm like, dude, you encourage this. You said this was fine. When they kicked Donald Trump off of Twitter and Alex Jones off of Twitter, and you cheered and you were like, yeah, you literally opened the door for this shit. So you actually don't have shit to say other than like, oh, free speech. Shoot, dang, I should have thought about that before I started calling things hate speech. Golly gee willikers. It's so ridiculous. It is such a ridiculous game. Is the S&P at an all-time high? It hit it today, and I think it got higher than that. Are you just talking about the number 6? Are you just talking about all the 6s? I guess it might be an all-time high today. I think you're right. My God. Yeah. It did move on up there. It did. Kash Patel doesn't like conspiracy theories, just like all the people on the left who said believe science, and now the right wing was like, what about do your own research? And now everybody on the right is like, we don't like conspiracy theories. We told you what the truth is. And that's what the truth is. And you, how dare you have questions about what we're telling you the truth is? Kash Patel promising to censor social media in order to combat conspiracy theories. Kash Murphy Patel. What? Who could have seen this coming? Here's a clip of what he said about podcasts and conspiracy theories at his confirmation hearing.
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false impressions. My association, as you loosely define it, is by
But this is on the heels of this. Kash Patel agrees to team up with Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz to push censorship of Americans on social media who share conspiracy theories about Israel. Oh. I mean, you know, standard run-of-the-mill conspiracy theories, whatever. But any conspiracy theories about Israel? You mean like that they might have taken out Charlie Kirk? Or is that what you're talking about? The things that looked fairly obvious, they both come to an agreement that Section 230, which shields platforms from liability for user content, should be what? Remember this? This was in hot debate a few years ago about taking down, you know, and back then it was the Democrats saying like, oh, we got to get rid of this, you know, liability shield because, you know, Biden, there was a time when the Biden administration was requesting that social media sites take down posts. That's true and correct. And then a judge in Missouri said you can't do that and stopped it. It's illegal. Yes, infringement, definitely. And then now the right is like, oh yeah, heck yeah, we got to get rid of this. It's just the people in power are doing things that the people in power do, which is usurp power. And it doesn't really matter what color bandana they're wearing. It doesn't matter. Or hat or whatever it is. Whatever identifier you want. He might be.
No, there are extremes on the left. And there are extremes on the right. And we collectively should tackle that. But to come here and just look at us and say we all support what's going on in the extremes is why we can't solve anything in this building. Director, let me say first, thank you for being here, and my condolences on the loss of your friend. And I'm happy to hear that you want to do more on the social media platforms. Okay, it's crazy what's going on the social media platforms. There are so many conspiracy theories on what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Israel assassinated him.
What?
Right? There are conspiracy theories about your personal social life all day. It is totally rampant. Big names on the right. Candace Owens, right? Talking about how what's been released as far as the dialogue between the perpetrator and his roommate is manufactured by the FBI, manufactured by the administration.
He's calling that a conspiracy theory. Oh my God. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at how ridiculous that is. Let's see. But look at this. I don't know who needs to hear this again, but the person who blamed Kirk's murder on Israel was Charlie Kirk. So it was actually him who said, kind of like, I'm not suicidal, or I'm not, you know, I'm not applying for the position of being a target. His Granda is very popular. Yeah. So, you know, even Charlie Kirk was a conspiracy theorist, apparently, to his friends, his close friends. Charlie Kirk is a conspiracy theorist. Oh. So, yeah, let's follow the thread here. Here's the actual transcript of the supposed shooter's text messages. The supposed shooter also has his uniform of, he has his gear on, his assassin gear on, which is just so dumb. Right? Did they, and look at this picture. Did they take this from like a security camera somewhere? I literally like, that's his account with a picture taken from a security camera somewhere? Like, really? He made that account? Okay. It's amazing. Hello, roommate and lover. It is I, Tyler James Robinson. This is how he's actually talking. Can you believe this guy actually talks like this? Then they say, hello, Tyler James Robinson. As a reminder, my pronouns are she, they. What? You're never going to believe what I did. I was the one who killed Charlie Kirk. What? You're never going to believe. And the guy says, what? Bro, this is really it, but I don't understand like how this can be actually. Is this, I don't know. Yes, I did it. Let me tell you all of the details here in writing. I'm not going to be able to stop laughing through this. I'm sorry, guys. So that you know everything. But you need to promise me you will never show this chat to anyone. Pinky swear, particularly the FBI, which is much better run now that Cash Patel is in charge. What is going on with this? I don't get it. Yes, I promise. Please start at the beginning and spare no detail. Okay, well, I started planning in earnest approximately 1 week ago. I did very detailed reconnaissance at the site, which I learned how to do during Antifa boot camp. Oh, God. Oh, God. Is this fake? I don't know. It's hilarious, though. But why did you do it? What would you say your motive was? Well, roommate lover, as you know, I have been radicalized online by leftist propaganda, and I had to use violence to suppress free speech I don't agree with, as is our way. Yeah, hilarious. The actual one was pretty bad. Hold on one second. Here, let's look at the actual one. That one's funny. I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while. It shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this a secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to have involved you. You weren't the one who did it, right? I am. I'm sorry. I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out. But there's one vehicle lingering. Why? Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Do you find his language? Yeah, the Nigerian prince pays you in hugs and kisses. Do you find his language a little bit weird? Yes. A bit over a week, I believe. This is a response to how long you've been planning this. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I wish I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. Why would you say vehicle? I'm worried that my old man would do what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in the bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it. I hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? Remember how I was engraving bullets? That's actually what supposedly he wrote. The messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. It sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that it was a 2K scope. Delete this exchange. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. Pretty unbelievable. The person that wrote it, English ain't that first language. No, it seems very, it's not, doesn't seem like American dude, young American dude language at all. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Why am I buying? I'm not buying this. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Poppy? What am I buying? I want to know. Let's see. Okay, what else we got? The satire one was pretty funny, though. I mean, they're both satire, but let's see. We'll look at a little bit of karmic blowback, or the idea that there's going to be karmic blowback, which there will be. You cannot build a holy land for your children on the mass graves of other children. I mean, the U.S. kind of did that. Roommate lover. Well, the one I was the last one I was reading, Poppy, was printed. That's supposedly the real one on CNN. It was on CNN. That was actually the one they released. I've been hearing a lot about the theory that Israel wants the world to hate them and attack them in order to fulfill some kind of prophecy. Does anybody know more about this? I mean, it kind of sucks because if that's really what they're trying to do, I mean, that's kind of what's going to happen, because, you know, you're just going to keep rolling along, like doing horrendous, heinous, disgusting things until eventually somebody's going to go, hey, right? Somebody's going to have to say, yeah, I think we got to stop this. And then at that point, I guess that they get their wish. They have fulfilled their desires. Is that how I'm understanding it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to try and go through the rest of these really quickly because it's really late in the day. If you want to support the channel, lots of ways to support the channel in the description box of whatever platform you're watching on. This is a link tree on X. Timothy says, yes, they have killed the heifers. On the 23rd of September starts the Festival of Trumpets. They believe that their Messiah is at hand. They don't think Jesus was the dude. On the 23rd of September, you say? Okay. Remember their names, faces, and share their bravery with the world. Anthony Aguilar and Josephine Gilbo. They're protesting the Gaza war. They were saying that these military pilots refused to fly armed planes to Israel. I think that's false. It really sucks that people do stuff like this. Put like fake news and false stuff, like actual false stuff on the internet, because then it confuses everybody. Maybe intentional, maybe not. I don't know. Context is that the video shows U.S. Capitol Police removing 2 U.S. military veterans from the Senate committee after interrupting it to protest against the Gaza war. Will the Anunnaki take Bitcoin? I'm just going to really try and go through these quickly. I'm not going to have time to cover everything today, but we'll go a little bit later because it's Friday. Some scholars and scientists estimate the real death toll in Gaza at 680,000. If confirmed, 380,000 of them are infants under 5. Key figures tied to Palantir or its co-founders are now found in extremely important posts throughout our government. Whitney Webb talking about the history of Palantir. Palantir was started as a DARPA project. I've said this, many people have told you this. Palantir has never been a private company looking to secure government contracts. It was a government creation. It's been funded by DARPA the entire time until it became a, you know, something that looked like a privately owned, self-sustaining entity that is traded on the NASDAQ.
Peter Thiel As an example, Palantir has been in the news, right? He's a co-founder of that. So how was Palantir created? Well, there was this company that was being run, or not company, sorry. It was a government program after 9/11 called Total Information Awareness. It was housed within the Pentagon's DARPA office. And the man they chose to put in charge of that was John Poindexter, who was the highest ranking member of the Reagan administration to be indicted for his role in Iran-Contra, which, again, the continuity of government stuff is relevant here. So eventually, it launches and whatever, but people are outraged by it because, as they rightly pointed out, it would eliminate constitutional protections of Americans' rights, specifically the right to privacy, among other things. It was a huge surveillance dragnet, and its goal wasn't just to, surveil everything. It was to predict crime before it happens, predict terror attacks before it happens. I mean, it's like Minority Report was basically the end goal of it. And so after all the pushback, they changed the name to Terrorist Information Awareness and try and rebrand. Oh, it's not total. We are still going to surveil innocent Americans, but we're focusing on the terrorists. They did all this stuff to try and rebrand it. But Congress defunded it. But hidden in that bill, Congress allowed aspects of it to continue. And essentially, I argue in my work on Palantir that an effort was made to privatize large aspects of TIA as Palantir. Because when Alex Karp and Peter Thiel were setting it up, they went to John Poindexter through this guy named Richard Pearl, who is a long-standing neocon actor with very extensive ties also to the state of Israel. He was caught in the 70s giving classified information to Israel's embassy and should have gone to jail and somehow did not. And had a lot of ties also to Netanyahu's first government. And Richard Pearl is the guy that connected Thiel Karp to Poindexter, and they basically wanted to talk to Poindexter because they wanted to recreate Total Information Awareness and saw him as the godfather of modern mass surveillance. And in doing so, they basically, Peter Thiel teams up with NQTEL, the CIA's venture capital firm. Alex Karp has said on record that the intended clients of Palantir from the beginning was the CIA. And, the CIA was their first client for their first 6 years as a company. Their top developers went to Langley, Virginia, which is CIA headquarters, every 2 weeks to show the CIA their product and have them tweak it to their liking. And during that period of time, one of the top people at the CIA that would have been involved in that is this guy named Alan Wade, who was also intimately involved with Total Information Awareness. And if you look at how Total Information Awareness was described, its privacy protections, it's exactly the same as the way Palantir sold their stuff later on. So there's an insane amount of overlap. And what's crazy here is that Alan Wade, a few years prior, had created a Homeland Security software program that was also pre-crime-esque and similar to what Palantir ended up doing. It was called Kiliad, and he teamed up with Christine Maxwell to do that.
Yeah. Iran withdraws resolution to ban attacks on nuclear sites following U.S. pressure. There was a resolution. Prohibiting attacks on nuclear facilities, which I'm sure Iran has an interest in. That it had put forward along with China, Russia, and other countries for a vote before an annual gathering of the UN Nuclear Watchdogs member nations. Western diplomats who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations said the U.S. had been heavily lobbying behind the scenes to prevent the resolution from being adopted because the U.S. are a bunch of psychopathic, ridiculous morons. Something that sounds completely and utterly sane is not amenable to the U.S. because, golly gee willikers, we want to be able to go bomb, supposed or actual nuclear facilities whenever we want. And we should be able to do that. Western diplomat, I read that. The U.S. has raised the possibility of reducing funding to the International Atomic Energy Agency if the resolution was adopted and if the body moved to curtail Israel's rights within the agency, the diplomat said. All right. More coercion from the U.S. Dark porn. So yeah, there you go. What else? We also blocked a ceasefire at the UN. United States vetoes Gaza ceasefire resolution at Security Council. Why? Because we are absolute psychopathic maniacs. And because we're funding genocide. And don't let anybody tell you different. Don't let JD Vance tell you it's, or anybody else tell you like, well, that's anti-Semitic. No, it's not anti-Semitic. It's anti-fascist. Motherfucker, get it right. That's right, for like the 8th time. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be part of Antifa to be anti-fascist. You can just decide you're anti-fascist, and probably that should, the troops that stormed the beaches of Normandy were anti-fascist, I believe. Every one of them. And lots of people are anti-fascist. Most people are anti-fascist because most people understand that fascism is bad and is bad for them. So when people are anti-fascist, that means they're generally probably people that consider themselves good people and the fascist part to be bad people. So, the people that are bombing children and women to death, those would be bad people, fascists. We're against that. That's all we're saying. We're against the violence, you understand? That isn't violent speech or hate speech. That is anti-hate speech or anti-violence. We're against the violence. The hate speech would be the people that are trying to minimize or cover up or excuse the actual violence that they're doing, if you want to get technical. Trump says he wants to return to Afghanistan. What's wrong with this dude?
They just went through the Afghanistan total disaster for no.
It was a total. Everything is either is the best ever. It was a total disaster. Like he only has like 2 descriptors for literally everything.
Reason whatsoever. We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to leave it with strength and dignity. And we're going to keep Bagram, the big air base, that one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to them for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back because they need things from us. We want that base back. But one of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So a lot of things are happening. They just went through the Afghanistan total.
From Afghanistan, so. Yeah. There's been Remember when I said that the influencers, the right-wing influencers, Tim Pool and others, have suddenly shifted into high propaganda gear? And it's true. Health Ranger says, remember a few days ago when I posted that I and other influencers had been warned that we need to stop asking too many questions or things would not go well for us? It looks like Charlie Kirk got that warning too. And since then, how many conservative influencers have you noticed suddenly pivoted? They were ever, somebody was like, you want to get Kirked? They were like, oh, hell no. Tell me what I got to say. Since then, how many conservative influencers have you noticed suddenly pivoted and began to unconditionally accept the government's narrative, even though it's full of holes? Now you have your answer. They got the memo and they obeyed. Alex Jones, Dave Smith, Nick Fuentes. I didn't hear about Dave Smith, but I've seen Nick Fuentes and Tim Pool and Alex Jones. Everybody just start repeating the Kirked. Don't get Kirked out here. Toe the line. It's true though. There are a lot of podcasters, influencers, whatever you want to call them, that are like full throttle, fourth gear propaganda machines right now. It's like, oh, everybody's lined up on cue, at the ready. I don't know what switch was flipped. Fuentes is pointing everywhere but Israel and international jewelry. He's 100% buying the FBI narrative and not questioning it. He's touting the all the left wants to do is kill us line. Tim Pool, CNN, and now Shapiro are defending him, and the Groypers not sus at all.
There was literally no evidence presented that he actually was of the right. None. And believe me, there were plenty of people on the far right who hated Charlie. I mean, the Groypers, as I've said before, literally declared a Groyper war on Charlie Kirk. They declared that he wasn't sufficiently radical. It's exactly what I told Bill Maher on Friday night. He said, well, how do we know it's not the Groypers? I said, theoretically, could it be? Because before all of the evidence had come out, theoretically, it's possible. Super unlikely. And you know what I cited as the evidence? The contemporaneous conversations that the shooter had with family calling Charlie Kirk hateful. Because my point was, if you're calling Charlie hateful, that is part of a left-wing matrix of thinking. The Groyper matrix is Charlie wasn't hateful enough. He should have been more hateful. He should have been more vile toward the Jews. If only he had been, then they would have liked him. There was literally no evidence presented that he actually...
Here's Netanyahu saying, they definitely had no, whoever had no part in this whatsoever. I think he's issued like 5 denials, apparently.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, The Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again.
And so did,
And sadly,
he declined. And
that
so
won't happen.
Bill Ackman spoke to him.
Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors,
Yep.
perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace.
It definitely wasn't us. Exactly, Salt Lakers. That's what I said. Let's see. Here's an interesting exchange between a Chinese ambassador and an Israeli ambassador. Actually, extraordinary exchange between Israel and China. I've never seen such a heated exchange come out of top-level forum in China. The guy speaking is Yan Zutong, the dean of, I don't know how to read that, of the Institute of International Relations at Tsinghua University. Okay, so he's not an ambassador. He's the dean of the institute. Anyway, speaking for Israel is a military officer apparently called Elad Shoshan.
The real reason of this war is that this is the terror organization Hamas that's still holding our hostages. So they replace the UN, you suggest, sound very smart between countries. What we need to do about the terror organization?
My answer is very clear.
Yeah.
Your military people should shoot the terrorists, not the children, not the women. We shoot the children and the women, and you lack legitimacy to carry it out any actions in that reason. For instance, and when we have the robbers get in the bank, they rob the bank, they use the staff and the customer as a human shield. You're a policeman. If you do not kill the staff, bank staff, and the customer, you cannot catch the robbers. How can you do it? Do you think you should kill the customer and the staff first?
We really do all what we can not to hurt the citizens.
To kill more than 70,000 civilians.
No,
there are
not,
more than
10.
There are more than the terrorists.
It's not fact, right?
Okay.
Really?
The fact is not decided by you. The facts is decided by the international community.
That's my favorite part of this. He said the facts are not decided by you. The facts are decided by the international community. Sucker.
Decided by your government. Your government have no legitimacy and
the
right to decide or defend what is fact.
Dang.
The terror attack, the terror organization, what the solution in your way of...
My solution is that go to the UN, work with the UN, and agree the two-state solution to establish a state of Palestine. Then you have two states, and you can work together with the Palestinians together to fight against terrorists. If you do not work with the Palestinians together, you can
also stop funding the terrorists. There's that part too. Oh, yeah. Stop funding Hamas, the people that you say that you're fighting. Well, that doesn't... Hold on. Oh, it hurts my head to think about it. What's happening? It's kind of like Al Qaeda, right? We gotta go get them terrorists in the Middle East. you know, the ones that we've been funding for the last 20 years. We've got to go get Osama bin Laden, you know, the former CIA operative terrorist who was on our side against the Russia. And now, well, we got to go get him because, man, this is an international terrorist organization. And you guys all believe this because you are, you know, just, you know, people who can't think through it or can't see through it. And unfortunately, it's very effective because people don't have time in their day to actually, you know, consider things outside of like going to work and hanging, you know, taking care of their families, which is fine. Going just a little bit longer today. Meanwhile, House Republicans vote no on a motion to subpoena the Epstein-Maxwell bank records. This is kind of a funny exchange. They are, you know, really trying to hide underneath all of this stuff that's going on. I do see people out there going like, yeah, sure, all of this is really important. Where are the Epstein files?
Let me take the motion.
Okay. Pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent to produce or otherwise make available to the committee all suspicious activity reports in the possession of the Treasury Department, identifying the roughly $1.5 billion in
Gentleman from
suspicious transactions.
California is recognized.
I move to lay the motion on the table.
The motion is not debatable.
I didn't finish.
She hadn't completed the motion. Is it proper to cut it off before it's completed, Mr. Chairman?
Finish your last sentence there. The gentlelady can finish.
Okay, so we're asking them to identify the roughly 1.5 billion in suspicious transactions related to the sex trafficking crimes of Epstein, Maxwell, and their co-conspirators. And as we know,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Patel said that the Treasury
Gentleman's
might have
recognized.
that
lay the motion
information.
on the table.
Yep. The motion not debatable. The question occurs on the motion to table. Those in favor say aye. Gentlelady, may
Okay.
take the motion.
Okay, pursuant
Lastly, ICE is confronting protesters in Chicago, and it got pretty heated today.
Has been up. Agents are taking someone into the facility. That is a second protester. Let's check in with Darius Johnson, who's been on the ground there all morning long. Darius, what can you tell us about how this started?
Hey, Lou, get the shot inside of the facility. They have someone on the ground. If you're able to see that person, they're closing the gate right now. There's a person on the ground being held on the ground by those ICE agents. And look, if you pan over right now, Lou, let's see right here with the vehicle. They are plowing through the protesters right here at this vehicle. They've tried to deploy everything that they could as these protesters were trying to block agents from moving in and out. They have another man. They are just deploying anything that they can to try to get the protesters out of the way. Dana, give me 1 second as I put my mask on because they just sprayed chemical agents again. Okay. So right now, this is what we have been seeing. This has been one of the tensest moments this morning. What just happened right now? You had vehicles that were trying to make its way out. Dana, I'm actually going to move away from the camera now that the smoke is
Darius,
now impacting my eyes.
You need to get away from that smoke. Please, we appreciate your reporting. Get away from that smoke.
I'm back near the vehicle, Dana. I'm near the vehicle. I have a mask on. I'm okay. So basically, every time that people are pulling out, they are blocking the vehicles from getting in and out. At this point, what we saw this time was the agents on top of the roof. They started, Lou, you need to get something on your.
So there's lots of clips of this going on. and there's protesters are, saying all kinds of stuff to the ICE agents. Some of the protesters were telling the ICE agents that they were mall cops last week, which is true. Some of them were saying they're traitors, they're disgrace, traitors to the Constitution, which is true. Which is true. All right. I think that's mostly all I have to cover today, guys. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Unless anybody has any burning comments. Lots of ways to support the channel in the description boxes, as you know. All the usual links are there: PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, etc. And thanks, guys, for supporting the show. Thanks for being here. I will be back on Monday. I think I'm going to go play some music tonight. Taco truck. Come on, everybody, go to the taco truck. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy your weekend. And peace out. Oh, and always beware the bear. Mm-hmm.